Mr. Kirby, why do you think your artwork is so popular?
My artwork is popular because it connects with the ordinary person and they can understand it very easily.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Follow me on social media if you'd like. I just post pictures of my drawings about once or twice a week. Links are in the description below. I'm on X. I am on Instagram. I'm even on Pinterest. I just post my art. That's all I do. No opinions, no hot takes, no political views whatsoever. So, I've also posted a link in the description below of the Marvel database slash wiki site, fan site, whatever you'd like to call it, where it's got like plot synopsis of the issues we're gonna cover. So we have already covered 190 192, 93, 94, 95, and 93. Sorry. So we've already covered Captain America 193, 194, 195, and 196 all together. And today we're going to do 197 through 200. Now, I am not going to give you a synopsis like I normally do. In this case, we're just going to look at the pretty pictures. This is by Jack Kirby. This is from Kirby's return to Marvel after being on DC. So he did Captain America, and this is his issues that he did. I've already, like I said, I've covered them. You can find them in our if you search for them, you should be able to find them here. So we've got Captain America and the Falcon here. So I am gonna tell you, if you've heard, I've covered a few other stuff from Kirby in the past, and I'm going to be honest, he is not my favorite, but art is subjective. So just because I'm not overly in love with it does not mean you can't, nor am I going to tell you that it sucks or anything like that. It is just not my cup of tea. Part of my problem with Kirby is that, believe it or not, I find his drawings to be so stiff. It just, to me, it just doesn't hold up. I know that there's lots of people who he is a huge inspiration, and that is fine. I don't, you know, I don't necessarily think anything bad of it. If you love Kirby, good for you. Like I said, he's just not my cup of tea. So, we'll just kind of be looking here at his stuff. So, I have the trade paperback that came with this. I wanted to have some Kirby in my I just think it's important to in the history of comic books, you got to have a little bit of everything. So I will tell you this man can draw scenes like nobody else. John Byrne, perhaps, who was inspired by Kirby. So um yeah, I have when I first got this, I try to read it. I really cannot. It just doesn't interest me, but I know it interests some people, so I decided, hey, why not? So, huge respect for Jack Kirby and everything he had to endure at Marvel under Stan Lee. Stan Lee took a lot of credit. Stan Lee just took so much credit for so many things, including stuff that Kirby would plot or co-write. So, um, in that splash page, he's really good at trying to create emotion and all that. It's just that poses, like when you see this, it just he looks so stiff. These these characters, I always told my daughter it looks like they're taking a dump. Everybody, it's like arg. Um, it just doesn't have a smoothness to it. Everything looks so rigid. So um, I know that there's out there a few sites. For example, Tom Scioli or Scioli has has this side. He loves Jack Kirby. I know that in cartoonist kayfabe, they're all huge Kirby marks. So um, there are people still that love his work. There's a lot of pros. He inspires a lot of people because of his creativity. I think that he is just very creative, and it just shows. So I can see why people like him. It's just like I said, his art style is not my cup of tea. So all right, so next issue here. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you exactly what is happening in these issues. When I got this, like I said, I tried reading it. I just couldn't get to it. So I just looked at the pretty pictures because comic books, good double page splash. Comic books are a visual medium, so you can also not just you can read it, but you can also just look at the cool pictures, and that's what I decided to do. Um, I was born in '74, which is near the time this came out. I think this came out in '76, and so I was 2 years old when this had come out, and I grew up in the mid '80s, and that was the time where Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and John Byrne was already at the height of his powers. Walter Simonson. So those are the artists and the styles that I sort of gravitate to, and a lot of the older stuff like this, it just didn't speak to me very much. I love John Cassidy's version of Captain America. That's probably my favorite version, and I covered his 6 issue run on volume 4, I think, of Captain America. So I also have covered John Byrne's entire run in Captain America. And I was looking for some stuff, and I know that some of my Jack Kirby videos got some hits, and I'm like, well, maybe people do still like Jack Kirby. So I'm going through some of his other work that I have. Um, I own everything that I show you guys. I just choose digital as a better way of showing things versus putting a camera and just having you look through it. It's just easier to put you know, putting them in digital and just kind of going through. So, and this is what I mean. It's just so much stiffness, and that it's just doesn't look very looks very bulky. Everybody just looks so bulky. And so now we've covered two. So 199. I actually own 200 as a single issue, not as part of a collection. So I had gotten these trades for not very cheap. So I um if I find stuff for cheap, my daughter works at a used bookstore, and she gets half off of even their already used prices. So if I see some stuff, I will just have her get it. This is another thing. It just this ink line, or it just it just doesn't. But I guess that's part of the charm. But it just to me it doesn't work. I do like the thick line though. The inkers, I like inkers that work on brush. Um, so I have, if you wanna look up more of the Jack Kirby work that I've done, I did his superpowers, his second volume. So I did that, and I did the first four issues of his Captain America run. Now I'm doing these. I've done the first appearance of Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. I've done um oh, the wedding of Reed Richards and the Invisible Woman. So if you, and I kind of just narrated it the way I'm narrating it now. Um I like the creativity of this, just kind of putting some dashes in there, and you can see the figure and stuff. So yeah, he came back to Marvel. He'd been in DC where he did his Fourth World stuff, but it just didn't work out at DC. DC's a very editorial driven company from everything I have read. John Byrne, when he took over Superman, just has all these horror stories about working at DC under that editorial. Which is funny because um, Marvel with Jim Shooter was such a strong presence. So, but apparently there's a little bit more freedom. And so now we're gonna get into the 200th issue. So we'll conclude after this. So I do own this issue. Actually, a pretty good copy. You can get this issue probably for not very much. It's not exactly a high demand issue. So I think I've seen it priced at like $15. You can probably get it for lower than that. So comic, in the '70s, other than X-Men, not just a lot of the stuff happening in comic books. I'm more of a child of the '80s, so that's kind of where my when I read, I like the '80s and early '90s. I treat the image stuff similar to how I treat this. Not bad panel here. Just I like some of these lines. Just chit 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 chit. Just um the image stuff I never read. I can't tell you. I think I've read maybe the first issue of Spawn, and that's about it. But I own all the Spawn issues that McFarlane did because I love his art. So there's a lot of stuff that I'll get that I won't read, but that I'll look at. And there's a lot of probably well written comic books, but I won't buy them because the art is hideous. So I'm if you draw it well, I'll try to give it a read. But if it's not good, then I'll just look at the pictures. But it has to be for me to read something that's written well. It better be really really good. So um, the Sandman with Neil Gaiman is one of those things where I did kind of read it, but not every issue was very pretty. But through time and just as I've actually have read the Sandman, and it's one of those exception to the rule. It's not that it's terrible, but it's just inconsistent. A lot of these artists stuck around for only one arc, so it really suffered from having a consistent artist of, more than just an arc. So this thing apparently is this arc is dealing with this mad bomb. So, good gravy. So, yeah, so I kind of hope you enjoy these. Like I said, it's good to look at some of these older issues. So, anyway, so Captain America, um 197, 98, 99, and 200 by Jack Kirby. And like I said, I've already done the first four issues, so now we've got the second four issue. There is a couple more that'll come after, so be on the lookout for these. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.